trouble falling asleep, son?
My best friend's dad lost his job, and I'm afraid he'll never have enough money to be fun again.
Sounds like my little guy could use a Tiny Tommy's night-night tale to help him get some beauty sleep for sons.
I love Tiny Tommy's night-night tales.
This tiny tale is about a friend of your grandfather's. His name was Mr. Butter. And yes, you guessed it, he had a successful window shutter business. And yes, you guessed it, he was in fact a giant stick of butter.
Whoa.
And yes, you guessed it, Tommy. His guts were congealed up into his buttery cavity. I once saw his spleen slip squirt out atop a beautiful woven tapestry on a warm day.
Life is easy when you're mantequilla.
Growing up, a stick of butter might be what's cool now with you kids and your glitter jeans and all. But back then, they did not care for Mr. Butter.
Oh.
Every day on the way home from school, kids would caress rough baguettes on his body and corn on the cob. They rubbed so much, Mr. Butter had to go home and make himself new butter every night. He had to make himself new skin. And son, in my America, my son doesn't have to make his own skin. But that's in my America.
Where's his mommy?
Mr. Butter's mom was a cow's breast, which is no good, my little compadre. I bet you wish mom was a cow's breast sometimes, huh? When she's making you put on those nice sweaters you don't like. Cow breasts don't care, right, Tommy? Cow breasts don't care about those nice little sweaters you don't like. Lucky for Mr. Butter, he had a great high school counselor named Janice, and that was a man. And you can imagine that. Mr. Butter had it tough, so he listened to Janice's advice, and he worked hard, and he went to college. Mr. Butter got great grades, and he maintained an admirable study-sex balance, and an admirable balance between the two. Then he had to take a job fixing squeaky window shutters, and ventured further and continued maintaining a fantastic sex, work, study balance. But one day, the boss ran out of all the classic window shutter tools, bowed foxtail, Hawaiian resort talisman, and Mr. Butter was at a customer's house who was growing agitated about her squeaky shutters. Mr. Butters was getting scared because she was touching stuff, all sorts of stuff. And not in a weird way, just a normal way. And I assure you, it was not in a weird way. You understand, son, how she was touching the stuff? Mr. Butter broke down and leaned his buttery cavity against those shutters, and voila! No squeaky shutters. It was a miracle. Mr. Butter quit his job that day, quit school, and he quit sex as well, to start his own business. Mr. Butter's Shutter Butter. Rub that butter all over. That was the slogan. Mr. Butter's Shutter Butter. Rub that butter all over. It was a success, and he opened 2 locations in one town. It was only a matter of time before Big Milk teamed up with Big Butter, and they got in on that Shutter Butter action.
Hi, ma'am. Oh, yes, we have industrial shutter butter. Let us men, and we are men, let us please rub our shutter butter all over your shutters.
Yes, we propose we just come into your home, take out our shutter butter, and rub our shutter butter all over your shutters at half the price. Mr. Butter couldn't compete with Big Butter's prices, Tommy, and he had to shut down his business. Mr. Butter did the only thing he knew he could, which was take his life in a public park of his dreams. And he was out in public milting, Tommy, making a big buttery mess, wallowing in his death juice, when...
Mommy, I want to slide fast, but these normal jeans won't let me.
Mr. Butter turned to look and slipped on his death juice, and a light bulb went off on his head. Rub your butt all over, Mr. Butter. I'll make you slip and slide fast as light. Ha! I love it. And that was his job, Tommy. He came back from being poor. So what I'm saying is that there was a giant man who was a stick of butter, and children rubbed the butter of their jeans on him so they could slide fast. And this is a thing that happens in the 1940s.